Welcome to Let's Talk Cars Radio, your automotive specialist. Let's Talk Cars Radio is sponsored in part by Napa Car Care Centers, BDG Auto Group, by Liberty Transmissions in Virginia Beach, and by Bob Barnum and the Perfect House team. Be a part of the program today by calling 757-222-3705. Text your comments during the show to 757-866-2192. Email your questions and comments to Dave at letstalkcarsradio.com. Now, here's the host of Let's Talk Cars Radio, Dave Palach.
Happy Saturday, America. You're listening to Let's Talk Cars Radio on WKQA Freedom Radio. I'm your host, Big Davey P, hanging out with Cameron Chaos and, of course, Nate VB. Hey, guys, hope you guys survived your New Year's. I know it was a wild New Year's for some. It wasn't too wild for us. We did exactly what I told you how we were going to do. We stayed in, and we played board games.
Until 5 a.m.
Board games in our house, man, I'm telling you, you don't want to play board games with us. We are the most competitive family, I think, when it comes to things. And none of us can relent.
It always takes longer than it really should.
But I think that's a good thing. We started
It is when you finish it, though. We got to finish the games.
What do you mean?
Well, we just got to finish it. Why is just.
I know. I was telling Nate, I
hate when we got put a pause on it.
Ever finished an actual board game?
Okay, hold on. So let me explain. So we played Risk this time. Okay, if you guys ever played Risk, you guys know that. It is a very, very long game, or it's not. I don't think it's really supposed to be as long as it is. In our house, I think we started 7 o'clock at night, maybe a little bit before that, and it was almost 5 a.m. and we were still playing. And Nathaniel and I finally decided to call it a draw because as far as how many pieces, I think we thought calculated there was probably another 2 hours left to play the game before somebody would conquer and win. I tell you guys every Sunday or every Saturday to play games on Sunday, unplug. Hide your cell phone, spend some time with your kids, play a board game. And I tell you that because, the boys are 23 years old and, Hunter's 14. And we all still play board games and very much enjoy playing board games because of the competitiveness. If you really, truly, if you're not out there wrenching on your car, you're not out at a car show, whatever, that's the substitute. As far as in our family, it is, is to play board games. But it is. Even Monopoly takes us a long time. Monopoly takes us forever to play Monopoly because we're so competitive.
That's because you don't want to give up any of the properties.
I'm not supposed to give up properties.
He'll have the only green property and don't want to give it up. Or he'll have red, blue. Give me Boardwalk. That's all I want.
No. If I give you Boardwalk, I'm dead. So anyway, I tell you guys early in the show, play board games this Sunday, and you'll learn a lot about your family. That's for sure. Because there's a lot of emotion involved in playing board games in this house, good and bad. We get to the point where everybody's mad, starts fighting. It gets pretty rough around here. Anyway, like I said, hope you guys enjoyed your New Year's. Hope you guys have some great things going on. We got some great projects, hopefully, that are going to be finished this year. I don't know. So fingers crossed. Still waiting on parts. I just don't know whenever that's going to come around.
Trans Am.
If I get all the parts in one place, it would really be great. I swear it's like COVID again. And when it's not, I told you guys, this isn't just in the muscle card field.
It's not a chip shortage. It's not.
It's in every aspect of automotives. Finding parts is not easy. There's just so many things around national backhoe and everything still. And I'm caught up in it. And I cannot, I probably could, I was going to tell the boys after we got done with the show today, I think we could probably progress a little bit with the Trans Am and put together what we have. Even though I like to do things in a certain order, I may have to do it a little bit out of order and at least start getting the car back together. I just hate the fact that I just like to go dump want to have a project. I want to do it this, add this, put that. I hate having to go 3, 1, 7. You know what I mean? Because
it just makes assembly a little harder.
It does, but I don't know. I guess in my mind, there's progression. I know I talked to you guys. You guys have a lot of muscle car projects out there. A lot of people are working. Some people have bought, and some of these pictures, hey, thanks for the pictures of some new muscle car stuff that they bought that they plan on building over the winter, which is always a great idea. That was my idea here, too, was to go ahead and get this thing. Hopefully it will. But, yeah, people have been sharing pictures with me and showing me all their little projects either they've been working on or a lot of new projects this year that people have picked up and are going to start building, which is really, really cool. But hey, we got a great show for you guys today. If you guys didn't see the title of the show, it's a rental. Now, this is a little different. I know we talked about rental cars in the past. We talked about some of my stories I had rental cars, and you guys know I've had some wild ones. But I got into a conversation this week about rental cars, which made me kind of I want to do a little bit more digging. And I was just kind of curious what the information was that was out there and stuff. And one of the biggest conversations was things left behind in rental cars. People like when you rent a car and you go to turn it back in and you leave behind. And I was really, I think, flabbergasted maybe by some of the responses of most common things left behind. I thought it would be certain things. One of the things, here, hold on, don't spoil it, don't spoil it. But some of the things that were left behind, like the more normal stuff versus not normal stuff, and how common some of the difference was between the two, was it interesting. Another thing I got talking about, I called one of my friends, was talking to him. He used to be in the rental car business because, of course, me, I like to go down the rabbit hole once I start talking about things. And he was telling me just how often people will rent a car for a particular thing they plan on doing. And sometimes the thing isn't what they should be doing with like a rental car.
Right.
Which is really, really weird. And then I saw an article that I read. There was a current one, I think came out maybe this week or last week before. And it lined right up with that. And I went, man, he's right. People do stupid stuff with rental cars. I mean, so you guys know, I've told you guys stories of things that I've done in rental cars. And I first of all, in my younger years, I was never easy on a rental car. You guys heard some of those stories. I mean, I got a rental car for the fact that I was planning on just driving the snot out of it and, just returning it. I think we may have touched one time on the story of during 9/11, right before the weekend before 9/11, we were in California and we rented a car and we had it there. And that car, it saw its rounds. I mean, it was probably not drivable afterwards, but we were young and we were stupid. We did a bunch of stupid stuff and the car just didn't survive the best way it should. And then 9/11 happened. And we needed that car. We were depending upon that car. After that car, spent a very rough weekend with all of us through a bachelor party. I guess that's the easiest way to explain it without getting into details. So the car was roughed up pretty good. And like I said, they weren't renting it anytime soon. But then, like I said, 9/11 happened, and you couldn't get around a car. If you guys were anywhere traveling right before 9/11, and you had a rental car, they were calling and demanding and everything else to get the cars back. Anything you could do to get the cars back into their, I guess, possession, whatever. And people weren't giving them up. We were one of them. So we were, we fell into that. Now I ended up getting on a flight and flying right before. I was on a flight on 9/11 coming here into our area. I landed early in the morning, got a shower, and the very first thing on TV was going on during that time, which was crazy because I knew I was just a couple hours before that in the air while this was transpiring, which was just like kind of a big, I don't know. I still think about it, just weird just to know that you were up in the air flying while all that stuff was being planned out, hashed out, and going on up in the air.
Reality sets in pretty quickly.
Right, yeah, reality set in pretty quickly. But instantly, the rent a car, as soon as that happened, people couldn't get rent a cars. Everything was frozen. If you guys don't know, or even those of you all remember, obviously everything, airfare was grounded. Everybody was trying to grab rent a cars to get to where they needed to go, and they just ran out of rent a cars very quickly. And the ones that were supposed to come back in.
Do you think that's why we have like such a mass like inventory now of rental cars?
I don't know,
because it seems like if you go to like certain rental car companies, they got cars.
They do, but if you guys remember during COVID and stuff, like rental car companies were struggling because they had all this inventory, and those cars got to get rented, and they were just sitting around, with nothing to do. So it would be the opposite. But if you had a rental car and you were due back with it on Sunday, and because I'm trying to remember what all the days were, and I just don't remember. But if it was due like on Sunday, and you still had the car Saturday, they were already calling to make sure that car was coming back. You know what I mean? Like, I thought that played out on a Monday or Sunday, or however that played out, but I can't exactly remember. So, been a little bit.
But they want the car back.
They wanted the car back. So it's funny the way that the rental car companies work with the fact that they don't ever like think about, and I start to think about this they don't think about like when they rent it to you, like what that car might go through. So the one article I saw,
where you're going,
people like rent cars to go 4-wheel driving in. Okay, like. I guess that's talking to my buddy in the rent-a-car world. That's like I would have never thought about that, but they go rent like vehicles, like trucks. Some of them rent things that should not go 4-wheel driving.
Right.
Like people like rent cars, like when they come to the beach and they want to drive on the beach, they rent cars to go drive on the beach. And a lot of the cars they rent are not meant to be driven on the beach. So these cars get stuck in the sand, or people take them 4-wheel drive. And he said one of the big things is like, so some of the states that have off-road parks, people rent the vehicles and then go off-roading with them, and they come back destroyed because people don't have any experience in off-roading. They're just like, off-road adventure, that sounds cool. You know what I mean? And they go rent a vehicle to do it.
Free adventure park.
Right. And then they just destroy the vehicle because
Would
they
you
don't
like
have...
to buy that extra insurance, sir?
Right, yeah. Sir, can I interest you in that extra insurance? The answer needs to be yes.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because he says a lot of people, they just come back completely destroyed. People slide them off mountainsides, all kinds of stuff, because they're not experienced.
Well, honestly, I feel like that's what the insurance, I mean, you know, they're hoping for, right? Is for you to kind of like total amount of the loss, so they can get something brand new or
A
acquired.
rental car company.
He's like, no.
A rental car
To a certain
company
degree, I feel like
is
that's the plan.
not expecting for you to take their car and be like, yeah, that car's coming back to wreck.
All right, hold on.
Yes,
You all don't
to a
remember.
certain degree.
Hold on. You all don't remember. CKY Boys, which is prior to being Jackass, what you guys all know is the group is Jackass. It was very popular. But before that, they were called the CKY Boys. And they made videos of them destroying rental cars. Because back then, I think like the term was, for $1 a day, you too can mess up a rental car. And it wasn't mess up, they used something else. But you get the point. And you could get rental car insurance, and then you could just go out there and basically destroy a rental car, and you were covered with the insurance. Now, I think we've evolved, maybe. I don't know how far we've evolved, but I think those policies have now evolved enough where you just can't go get a car and destroy it on purpose. But if it happens, it happens.
Right.
But they were like,
Depending on the
they
car.
rented cars. They set like the radio on fire inside a car in one of those videos, and the car, you know what I mean? And then the flames got so big it burnt the whole car to the ground. And it's in one of their videos. Go back and look up CKY Boys. And I think early Jackass stuff, in the movies and stuff, I think they show some of the clips from some of the earlier shows, and they show that actual scene. But go look at it. Look at all the crazy things they did to rental cars. So there was a time and period where people had seen those videos and were reenacting them. So I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
Well, that was when TV was like when you guys still had to get like analog connections. So whatever you guys were seeing on TV, you were doing it. You were replicating what you guys saw on TV. You can't do half the stuff you see on TV.
I remember the first time I was able to have a rental car. I remember like getting a rental car back in the day was hard to get at a certain age. Like if you weren't over 21, they weren't giving you a rental car. But I was military, so they rented me one at 18. Big mistake. Huge, colossal mistake. But now as an adult, I start to look back and I go, oh, people do rent cars probably for really silly. And as my friend was telling me, he's like, look, we get a lot of cars back that are just destroyed. He goes, and it's just from.
Well, you got to think of how many people are out there like you. They're just like,
One,
let me do it one time.
18,
One time,
19.
times 100,000 cars.
not that it's okay. So hold on. You guys heard me talk about U-Haul trucks. Anybody can rent a U-Haul truck. Have you seen
$29.99.
Have you seen the biggest rental trucks, U-Haul rental than anybody? The big ones.
For
you
low as
need no
$29.99.
You need no special training to drive one of those. And if you ever get near one while you're on the freeway, get away from it. Get away from it. Because they have no training in driving that big truck. I mean, none at all. All they know is they get behind the wheel like a car and they just start steering it down the road. With the truck and pulling a trailer sometimes behind them, it is the biggest you know what show going down the road. I mean, it is absolutely crazy. And that just falls into rentals. I'm like, how in the world do you get a vehicle and just, I don't know, drive it? I'm not saying drive it like you stole it, but I guess you kind of do. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. It's amazing to me how I thought rentals would like get better, but listening to some of the stories that I was told, I was just like, it was really crazy. And then we got into the whole side of like when somebody rents a car and they bring it back. And he was like, you should be surprised at some of the things that we see, like that people leave behind in a rental car, or or the evidence of what happened that night out of a rental car.
Well, they don't want to clean it up.
He said one of the funniest things for cleanup guys, like when people do cleanup, is as they're taking things and they find things left in the car, is they make the stories up to like just like put like a story together, like what possibly happened here. They're like, well, I found this, and they start. Billy Bob was going down the road and decided he needed to stop and get this. You know, they hold it up. He's like, and they entertain themselves with it. But the things left behind in a vehicle, the most common things that you think. I want you guys to think about it for a second. I got to take a quick commercial break. When I come back, I'm going to tell you guys some of the strange things that you wouldn't think of left behind in a rental car. And I'll talk to you soon.
You're listening to Dave Palach on Let's Talk Cars Radio. Dave will be right back. Nobody remembers the name J.F. Whitlow and Sons Incorporated until you need them. But when you have a toilet problem, drains back up, pipes freeze, your heat or air conditioning stops working, then you remember J.F. Whitlow and Sons. Don't forget the phone number, 399-1714. That's 399-1714. Air conditioning and heating and all plumbing. J.F. Whitlow and Sons have been serving Hampton Roads since 1949. Residential and commercial. You could always count on J.F. Whitlow and Sons to get to you fast and get the job done right the first time. Located in Portsmouth and serving all of Hampton Roads. Those who know, call J.F. Whitlow and Sons. Call them at 399-1714. That's 399-1714. J.F. Whitlow and Sons Incorporated.
Hey, Dave.
What?
Hey, Dave.
What?
I've got a secret.
What are you, 12?
No, I'm just excited to announce Liberty Transmission is headed to the future.
You didn't buy a DeLorean, did you?
No, but we did get a brand new building. That's right, people. Liberty Transmission is moving to 3041 Holland Road to better serve the community. Check out our website for updates or give us a call at 757-233-3131. That's right, 233-3131. And remember, my name is on every transmission.
Something really cool happened in 1975. And no, it wasn't the beginning of the disco era. Congress passed the Magnuson-Moss Act, so you don't have to take your vehicle back to your dealer to keep your vehicle manufacturer's warranty in effect. Our Napa Auto Care Center uses the proper replacement parts and procedures to keep that warranty valid. Visit our independently owned Napa Auto Care Center today.
Hey guys, you asked for it and I delivered. Check out our all-star team of automotive specialists at NapaBDGHRVA.com. That's NapaBDGHRVA.com. Talk to you
There's
soon.
no place like home. Home is where the heart is. Home sweet home. Like every movie, book, and song, every story has a beginning and end. Let your story start today. Call Bob Barnum today at the Perfect House Team with the Real Estate Group.
Bob here from the Perfect House Team. From beginning to end, I'm ready to help you write your story. Call me today at 757-464-1003. That's 757-464-1003.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Cars Radio, your automotive specialist. Now, back to your host, Dave Palach.
Hey guys, welcome back. So, we were talking about rent-a-cars and stuff, and I was telling you guys, I kind of led you guys up. So, rent-a-cars and things when people have them, right? So they have rent-a-car and things they leave behind in rent-a-car and stuff. You would think would be like the most common.
Phone.
See,
Wallet.
people didn't even think about phone. We were having this conversation. People never said phone. It said phone charger. They never said phone.
Charger?
Yeah.
I'm never leaving my phone in the car, but I probably leave my phone charger.
Right.
You know, but I'm not leaving my...
Who's
why
carrying
would-
their charger with them?
What? Yeah, you are. A charger is plugged into the car charger. The car charger for your cell phone.
Oh, in your car. You're talking about in your car.
No, I'm talking about in a rental. In a rental.
Oh, my bad. I'm like thinking like Uber or rental.
What do you mean Uber or rental? Like if you're in a rental.
What? Yeah, no, I got what you're saying. Okay.
No, right. If you're in a rental and you obviously got to charge your cell phone, you're going to take your charging cord with you, and then they leave the charging cord behind.
Yes.
Okay. So you would think that would be something normal. That's not the highest on the list of things a lot of times
Really?
get left behind, right? Can you think about what? See, I thought luggage too.
I was thinking luggage.
I was thinking luggage, but on a
person?
a person left the baby in the back of the car.
Did keys even make the list? Like your
What?
house keys? Keys?
See,
Like
that was my
another
first
set of
guess,
keys?
too.
Like usually like you have like two sets of keys?
I thought so too, but no, keys aren't on the top of it either.
Really?
Yeah.
Imagine you drop off your rental car, you get all the way back home.
To realize you don't have your house
To
key?
realize you don't have your house key. Are you driving
Okay.
back or are you taking a brick
Well,
to the
hold on.
window?
Think about this. A lot of times you
Driving
rent a
back.
car in another state, so you drop the car off, got on a plane and flown, and then you realize, I left something behind. That happens.
Did Wallet
that
make it
happens
on
a
the
lot.
list?
Wallet is on the list, but
Yeah,
it's not.
see?
But it's not high on the list. One of the big things high on the list, you guys, and I think I understand how this works. I have a theory to this. No guesses? Let me just give it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drugs.
Really?
Yeah. Drugs left behind. Biggest thing, marijuana. Of the top of the drugs.
I guess so. Easy to just, you know, why throw it away? You just,
Or they leave it in the console, stuff like that. But they find all kinds of drugs left behind.
But
Now,
then it's attached to you though, because like they know who rented the car.
No, man, it was the person before me.
no, but
That's what I meant, Melvin.
no, but drugs. It's a big thing left behind in cars. I would have never thought about that. But then I started thinking about it. Well, wait a minute. There's states that have different laws than other states, so you can participate in smoking marijuana in certain states, and you decide you got to get back on the plane and go back to the state where it doesn't support it. So as you turn your rental car in, it doesn't even
Really
stick
click,
with you to think
yeah.
about it to grab it out of the car because you know you can't bring it with you. So you just left
Leave
it in the
behind.
car.
Leave it for the next guy.
Yeah. Another thing, this is strange. I don't know, but maybe certain states. I don't know why this would be. I can understand where some of the states this might be, but any idea what the second thing is? If you haven't guessed the first, you're definitely not guessing the second. I'll guarantee you. Come on now.
I don't know, but money? I would think money, maybe.
No.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking too literal. I don't know.
You don't know? He's like, no. Condoms.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. I know why.
Right, yeah.
I know that you don't know why. I mean, I know why, but I would have never thought of that being high on being left behind. I guess people go for a wild weekend and
These
Clear
are
the whole
items
shelf.
left behind.
oh, shelf.
These are items left behind in rental cars.
Right.
So we got drugs, condoms. What's the third item? What's the third item? I can only imagine now.
Souvenirs that they buy. They buy souvenirs and leave them in the car. They never like. So you
Didn't
actually,
really like it when they bought it.
No, I think they forget about it. They absolutely
Forget that
just,
they put it in the trunk or something.
right. They absolutely just forget about it. And, like they put it in the trunk, put it in the back seat, forget about it, and leave souvenirs behind. Because think about it. You got the rental car, right? And let's just say you have it for like a week. Like
lost
what we do.
and
We go
found.
to Vegas or something. We have a rental car for a week. I stop here and there, pick up little things for people. I throw it in the back seat. I drive around with it for like another 3 days because, I'm there for a long period of time. And just out of the brain, the fact that it's in the car. It just happens. One of the things is so here, you guys are going to think this is weird. There is a souvenir shop that I had frequented quite a bit every time I went to Vegas and stuff. Their bag that they put their souvenirs in, the plastic bag, is black. And I mentioned
So it
something
blends
about it.
in with the
right. And I mentioned something about it. I said, this is
leather
the dumb.
and
And never even thinking about this story ever because this was years ago. But I was like, man, that's a dumb idea for a bag to put it in. I said, because you throw it in, it blends with the interior. Like you think it should be like the most brightest bag on earth, like
Make it hot
fluorescent
pink.
orange or
Yeah,
hot
make it
pink or
hot
something. You know what I
pink
mean?
or something.
But the bag was black. It was just a black bag. They threw it in it. And I almost left something. I was like, man, that thing blend right in. I almost left that thing behind. You think that'd be a dumb idea. And I thought about it. Like I said, and here we are many years later, talk about things left behind. And I go, oh, that makes sense to me. Because, you don't notice it. Like, you know how you kind of glance over your car? Like, if you ever turn a rental car in at the airport, you're always kind of in a hurry anyway. So you're trying to grab everything out because the way...
Well, they're making you in a hurry.
Well, yeah, because pull up in this line. Did you get everything? Can I have your keys? Sign this form. You know what I mean? And you start rushing, and you might have had everything thought in your head, but you start to leave things behind.
Please empty your pockets, please.
All right, so another
What's your
thing...
social?
Another thing popularly left in cars. Any ideas? This one, it couldn't be airport related. There's no way. But this stuff, I think these people just rent cars locally, maybe take a road trip like we've done, take a road trip and then come back.
Drinks?
No.
Guns?
Really? How do you leave your gun behind?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Well, okay, so that goes just as bad as leaving guns in your car. Like, a lot of people leave guns in cars normally, and like their everyday driver, they have a gun that's tucked in the car somewhere. You know what I mean? Believe it or not, that happens a lot. That's why I tell you, don't mess with people in traffic. You
So
don't know who
that's
you're
kind of what
messing
you're
with.
thinking? You're thinking like...
Maybe because they're just so
everyday
used
driver?
to it. Yeah, because they're so used to it, and they put it, and they've had the car for a week or whatever.
That's what we're talking by the seat.
Right. It's
How
hit by
would
the
you
seat. So-
forget one inside of a rental? You'd think that'd be like your number one thing of, hey, make sure I grab my weapon.
Well, no,
or is my
now you're not.
weapon
If you're not used to
secure?
like really carrying, most people don't really care. Like he said, that you just throw it in the car just
It's in
for
the car,
protection.
right.
You're not really giving it a second thought until you really need it.
That's right. And that happens a lot. And people are like, oh, not that many people carry guns. Yes, they do. More people carry guns and have them in their vehicles with them than you would probably imagine. I can tell you tons of friends I know that carry, and it's in their car 9 out of 10 times. They're not carrying it on their person; they got it in the car with them. So I can see how that. But I thought it was like, what mystifies me is leaving it behind, like how you just like turn your rental car in. So
I try and get it back. Is this very thing?
Well, I read this one story that was online when I was doing research and stuff like that, and the story told where the guy, they were cleaning the car up. One of the cleaners was cleaning the car up, and then finds a gun underneath the seat. And the guy calls back, and he's like, "I left something in the vehicle. I need to get out." And the guy was like, "Well, that something is now with the police. If you like it." So it's amazed me, and you can think about it. It's a spiral down a weird road, but you can rent a car and do a whole lot of crazy things in a rental car. Don't belong to you. You know what I mean? Think about it. This is the criminal side of me that watching a lot of those criminal shows makes me start thinking and thing. But you rent a car, you swap the plates on it.
Well, that's
you
why
do your little bad idea, and then you just put and then now they're looking around for a red car with this license plate that never had that license plate, and it was a rental, so never even like the fact that it ever could.
As long as the camera doesn't, catch
as a producer for this show,
Right.
let me just state we're not encouraging this at all. Number one, okay?
No, I'm just saying. I like
people ideas here, man.
I like the criminal shows, so I started thinking about it, and I was trying to process like how do you leave something like that behind?
But they say most people that get caught, don't really think ahead of the situation.
No, they don't. Yeah.
So that's,
well, that's premeditated, not premeditated. That's what.
He just told them to go get a rental and swap the license
That's
plate.
not what I said.
What I said was think before doing.
And that they'd be searching all day long. He literally just gave them NCIS news.
I watched too many of those shows. I'm just saying.
Not lying. I'd be breaking it down too. Like, all right, well, if you were going to do it,
Right.
this is how I would have done.
All right, OJ. What are you trying to promote his book?
No.
He's like, no, absolutely not. It's just crazy. Like you start to think about the things that you never think about. Not being in the rental car business, I would have never thought about like a lot of this stuff. I would have thought you'd have asked, I would have said phone, keys, because I've actually lost a set of keys on vacation to my car. I've had that happen. Worst feeling in the world is when you get to the airport
and you realize,
and you go to your car and you don't tap your pockets, because I've never kept the keys in my pocket. Usually because I was on a long vacation, I've taken the keys and I put them somewhere in my luggage, right?
Right.
And then I'm like, I know I put it in here because it's in a certain pocket. You reach in that pocket and the keys aren't in there, and you're like, or
you don't have your luggage.
You don't have your luggage and the keys are with it. And I learned that lesson one time because I was delayed because my luggage was delayed and I had to wait. My keys were in my
Always
luggage.
put it in your carry-on.
So
now.
that's when I start carrying my Nike bag that I have, that I carry on my shoulder, that I keep a spare set of clothes in, my car keys in, and everything goes in that bag. So I'll always have that bag with me because after a couple times of being stuck in airports and traveling.
come on, you know the rule now. One
Yeah.
bag. One bag. It's carry on.
Cameron travels with me a lot.
All I do is one bag, and you better be able to carry it on with you.
Yeah,
it's
right.
fitting. Trust me.
And it's your responsibility.
It's your responsibility.
Yeah, I don't like traveling, guys, through airport systems. I just really don't enjoy it. I don't think anybody does. But some people, it's required. And there always seems to be a problem with getting from the plane to getting to a rental car. There's always some, like the one, I think I told you guys, if I didn't, the trip we took to Hawaii, that was like a 3-hour wait in a rental car line to get our car.
Really?
Like 3-hour wait just to, not even to talk to somebody, just to stand in a line and wait to get your rental car. Now, you know how many rental cars.
Was it reserved already?
Yeah, already pre-reserved everything, and all booked, all of it. But
no easy check-in?
No easy check-in was closed, of course. Yeah, no, easy check-in was closed. And 3-hour wait. Imagine standing there for 3 hours on your feet just waiting to get to the counter so you could tell them about your rental car.
So you're having fun.
No, you're not, because you're not.
I didn't pass some mimosas out while you're waiting in the...
No, that's what I was like. I was like, at least pass some drinks out. Let me get laid or something, with the flowers. Like something, like make it an enjoyable wait while you're in the line. Walk out and hand out drinks. Do something to entertain me. I don't know. Get a fire dancer or something. Do some tricks. Something to take my mind off the fact that I'm standing in this line for 3 hours. I mean, it was, you'd laugh, but I'm being serious.
Shout out to our Hawaii.
Yeah, so... But I'm just saying, like something that was just absolutely insane. So I do not enjoy.
You were in the longest conga line.
What ends up happening? Yeah, the longest conga line ever, because your mind gets distracted when things like that happen, and that's how things get forgotten. Like you're so irritated by this, and then before you know it, you start missing places. You're looking for paperwork, you're going through your stuff, and then you can't find the paperwork that you thought you put in this pocket. It all happens in the rent-a-car line. On that note, guys, I got to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, we got a whole new topic for you guys. Sports cars versus muscle cars. What's the difference? If you know, type it in right now and let me know, and I'll talk to you soon.
You're listening to Dave Palach on Let's Talk Cars Radio. Dave will be right back.
Okay, guys, it's time to change up Liberty's commercial. Curtis couldn't make it, so Michelle Price is coming in, and she said absolutely no messing around this time. Hey, Michelle, are you ready?
Yep.
Okay, go for it.
Hi, I'm Michelle Price from Liberty Transmission. Now, I could sit here and tell you a bunch of stuff you really don't care to hear about transmissions, but I'm not. However, if you want a great transmission at a fair price, and you want it from a family shop where a handshake still means everything, come see us at Liberty Transmission. My husband's name is on every one. How was that?
Well, I think that pretty much says it all, but just one last thing. Woo! Sorry, Michelle. Curtis made me do it.
Liberty Transmission, 233-3131. That's 233-3131. Better yet, visit them today. 5160 Singleton Way in Virginia Beach. 233-3131. Liberty Transmission.
There's something special about Napa Auto Care Centers. They're backed by the national strength of Napa. Nationwide warranties honored by thousands of locations. You know, that's Napa know-how. But more importantly, your Napa Auto Care Center is independently owned and operated by neighborhood professionals who operate by a written code of ethics. Put your vehicle in the hands of ASE-certified technicians who will greet you with a smile you can trust. Visit us today.
You heard me say it, and now here's your chance. Now's the time to go find your auto garage. Don't wait until it's too late. Go to NapaBDGHRVA.com and find your all-star car care center today. That's NapaBDGHRVA.com. Talk to you soon.
Nobody remembers the name J.F. Whitlow & Sons Incorporated until you need them. But when you have a toilet problem, drains back up, pipes freeze, your heat or air conditioning stops working, then you remember J.F. Whitlow & Sons. Don't forget the phone number, 399-1714. That's 399-1714. Air conditioning and heating, and all plumbing. J.F. Whitlow & Sons have been serving Hampton Roads since 1949. Residential and commercial. You can always count on J.F. Whitlow & Sons to get to you fast and get the job done right the first time. Located in Portsmouth and serving all of Hampton Roads. Those who know, call J.F. Whitlow & Sons. Call them at 399-1714. That's 399-1714. J.F. Whitlow & Sons, Incorporated. Welcome back to Let's Talk Cars Radio, your automotive specialist. Now, back to your host, Dave Palach.
Hey guys, welcome back. So, changing topics up, we got in a conversation, like we always do before shows, commercial breaks, throughout the week. And, you know, last week we were talking about like the death of the muscle car. And then it got to be the conversation after we got done with the show, trickled into, you know, exactly how that really works out. And do we really believe the muscle car is really going to fade away? And then we started talking about what constitutes between a muscle car and a sports car. And
it's electric.
No, it's not. No, because it was like, well, you think about it and you go, okay, we were trying to figure out what were you going to call the electric muscle car, I guess.
Well, because a lot of new muscle cars are getting more sleeker, right. Smaller. They're more dynamic in turns wise. So that's why what classifies them between the muscle and the sports car wise. Some of them are kind of taking on the sports car.
Well, Nathaniel and I, we argued about it a little bit back and forth because for their generation, a lot of things, they use the term sports car. And I'm like, no, that's a muscle car. Like, for instance, the Mustang, okay?
Right.
Mustang, as far as I'm concerned, it's a muscle car. It is a muscle car because of what it represents, okay? Big motor, bulky body, that's usually what classifies a muscle car. And the fact that they're concentrating more and going in a straight line than they are trying to go around curves. That's usually kind of what defines a muscle car, right?
V8.
And now you have sports cars that fall in line with some of those
muscle attent.
Right. Yeah. Attributes as far as
the whole conversation, basically, stumble upon, Mustang kind of classifying themselves more these days as, sports car like than a muscle. They're more advertising sports.
No, you're right.
The Chargers are changing.
I looked it up. I looked it up because I was curious. And I guess we're both kind of right when it comes to the Mustang, because the Mustang has always been classified as a muscle car. But now lately in the last years, they have moved more towards it being a sports car because they've concentrated a lot on going around corners with, active driving, all the different stuff that they have. It goes into like the thing that what's the
tracking?
What's that track feature that yours has?
Track apps and stuff that has lap times.
Yeah, so
shift indicator.
Yeah, they're concentrating on that, which then shifts that car into a sports car. And I had to take a look. If you didn't believe me, if you look it up, there's a whole article about how the Mustang went from being a muscle car to now being considered a sports car because it's sleeker. It's not as big, kind of bulky. The lines are different on it, and the fact they're concentrating more on it being a corner carving kind of type car than they are worried about going in a straight line. So I thought that was interesting. Another thing, so Corvette, what we think Corvette being, right? Big motor,
sports car.
See, most people would consider that being a muscle car.
Really?
Yeah. People would consider that in the day being a muscle car.
If you think about it, you're not when you search in Google, right? You're not typing in Google like classic sports cars. You're kind of typing in classic muscle.
If you get around any of the Corvettes, that are really had a lot of work done to it, and they're all cammed out, and stuff like that, they are 100% dedicated on that thing going as fast as possible right down the road. And then you have guys who, are more interested in the car, carving corners and stuff like that on a Corvette. It just depends on what kind of Corvette owner you are. But believe it or not, guys, the Corvette always has been considered a sports car. They didn't think about it as a muscle car. They're thinking about it as a sports car. It was designed to be that. I didn't believe that until I looked it up either. Like I had to go back and take a look at some of these. Camaro, by the way, has always been considered both, just so you all know. Muscle car and sports car is what it kind of has always been considered.
Which kind of makes sense because it does look very
the
mixed.
Camaro? Yeah, it has a mixed review. You know what I mean? Well, you take a look at, what is it, the RCCA series or SCCA, whatever, racing series. And Camaro has always been in that series, and that's a lot of corners and all that kind of stuff. So I guess that kind of does, Now, don't get me wrong. I've seen a whole lot of blown Camaros are made to go straight down the drag strip. But looking it up, so I guess it really depends on what, for me, the car could be classified as a muscle car, right? So, you can pick any muscle car there is. Let's just say, take the Camaro, right? I would always consider that a muscle car just for the fact that most people set them up back in, so maybe because I'm older, in the 80s, everybody was thinking about just going straight. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everything. So that's the reason why everything kind of just fell in that muscle car category.
Everybody's stupid of IROCs.
Right. So, then the IROC was a little bit different because the IROC was never fast. I mean, let's just be honest, guys. The IROC was cool looking, but as far as fast was concerned, that car wasn't fast. You had to do work to make that car fast. It was the sister
of the Camaro.
Right, yeah, it's a Camaro, but it was the sister of the true Camaro. It really was. But cool looking. I would love to have like an 86 IROC that is in really nice shape, T-tops. But I would tell you I would motor swap it instantly. The very first thing, which then makes me not want to buy a really nice one. I want to buy a nice one, but I'm afraid to buy it too nice because I know I'm just going to cut it up because it's just not fast enough. First thing I'm doing is LS swapping it instantly just so the car is fun to drive. Because the little weak motor that come in them, they're just, what were they, 200 and something horsepower, 200 and some of you tell me, you guys will know, but like I'm gonna say 230 horsepower maybe is what those things were. They were nothing impressive. I mean, the car was fun to drive. Don't get me wrong. I had a lot of friends that had them, and they were really cool to drive. But true fastness, they just weren't. I mean, they weren't fast. They were just a cool looking car, and I still think they're great. Like I said, I love to own like an 86 that was clean, just so I could not have to worry about the body or the interior or anything like that. I could just drop a motor in it and go, okay, now it still looks good, but at least now it's never going to be fast, but it's going to be fast, fun to drive kind of setup. You know what I mean? Just something to tool around town in.
Right. A little, daily driver.
Yeah. My problem with it is truly, guys, is I hate the fact that you spend a lot of money on a car, right? Let's just say like nowadays you're $60,000 into the car and you come and almost anything can blow your doors off at the stoplight. You know what I mean? And you're like, you just spent $60,000. Like that is like just
heartbreaker.
It's a heartbreaker. I spent $60,000 and the guy over here that spent $6,000 on his car is just serving me lunch at the stoplight. You know what I mean? Like I hate that, but it happens a lot. And I come from more of that side of things because back when I was young, I didn't have the money to have anything, super fast that was new. Anything I had that I thought was relatively fast, I had to buy it was used, and I had to do the work on it to make it, make it mine. So I might have had $6,000 or $7,000 tied up in a car when I had friends whose parents went out and bought them, $20,000 cars, and this is in late 80s, early 90s. That's a lot of money for a nice car. So like I told you, I had my Cutlass Supreme, and that thing somebody did some work to it, and it was a fun car to drive. But
the best thing back then, though, it didn't take much to get there.
No.
Upgrades were not far apart from each other.
No, they weren't. But because everything was relatively very
simple.
Like back then, you were putting headers on it, you're putting intakes on it, changing the carburetor out. That was all the simple stuff that a lot of us guys that didn't have a lot of money were doing to make speed. Then the guys who had money were going in and really doing things to the motor, and that was a whole other breed of person who had a different income for sure than what I had available to me at a young age. I mean, I remember like when I swapped the carburetor on my very first car, I thought that was like, the coolest fast upgrade. And then when I put a set of headers on, I'm like, this thing's going to be fast. But you know what I mean? But
you feel a difference? Do you feel a difference? Right. I don't feel a difference.
Yeah. No, you're having that conversation because like literally some of the
adds an air freshener and he's like, I got 5 more
horsepower with an air freshener. But no, the things you were doing back then, you did. He's exactly right. You're like, can you feel it? You know what I mean? And it might be like what you did maybe added like 3 to 5 horsepower. You know what I mean?
You ain't really feeling it till the top end.
Right. Now there was a difference. Don't get me wrong, because
you were redlining it.
Hold on. Don't get me wrong, because if you did this one thing and it gave you 3 horsepower, and you did this and it gave you 5, and now you did this and it gave you another 4, that all added up.
Now you're up more 12.
No. By the time you got done, you're almost 20 horsepower difference. Now 20 horsepower difference, I'm not going to say you're going to super feel it, but you do know the difference in the performance of 20 horsepower in a car. You just do. You know?
Do.
So if you did all these little things, then you start changing it, and that's just how it worked for us. But nowadays, like the horsepower jumps are enormous with some of the things that they do to cars. That's the reason why I think there's such a difference between sports car and muscle car nowadays, because they're not so much focusing a lot on engines. They're focusing on handling. Like we just know we bought all the handling things for the Trans Am. Not cheap by any means, extremely expensive to do it.
I'm thinking about getting some.
Yeah, but it takes the car into a completely different. Trans Am was a great car. God knows they sold tons and tons of them, especially after Burt Reynolds' promotion into it and Smokey and the Bandit. That car became just a legend. But that car was never really designed, as far as I'm concerned, being underneath it, and maybe it's just technology, to be a true corner carving type of car. You know what I mean? Now with technology moving forward, all the things, the stuff you can buy for it, you can make that thing where it's just super crazy will handle. And that's a lot of stuff we just bought to put on the car. So I'm looking forward to the fact that it does it. If I always get all my parts in one place at one time, then we'll hang them and I'll be able to show you guys what we've been doing. But right this second, there's a large stack of boxes sitting in front of the car with all the parts, but I'm missing some components to finish.
Feels like a SpongeBob episode where they're like 2 years later.
Yeah.
It's like it's never coming.
Everything with that car, I don't know what it is, guys. I get beat up. A lot of the fans that listen to this beat me up over that car. Like, when are y'all ever going to get that car done? And I'm like, you don't understand the struggle to get parts for that
perfection.
Car. Yeah, I will order parts. I will talk to somebody on the phone, and they will be like, I'll have you the parts in a couple of weeks. And weeks turn into months. I mean, in months. And it just happens every time we order something for that car. It doesn't matter who I order from. And I'm going to stop you guys, save you the time. Don't send me, well, you should have ordered from this guy. I get that all the time. If you would order from this and this. I've tried so many different places to get parts from, and they do eventually come, but they never get to us within the time limit that they say they're going to.
That's the worst part. It's always on their time.
It does. Well, I told you guys,
they're great parts, though.
No, we were like, what, 2 years into waiting for the motor? The motor was supposed to be like a 3-month deal before we got it, and it was almost 2 years before we got the motor. But that was because of COVID. I understand. But I feel like I'm stuck still in COVID times, because you can't get anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just, it drags on and drags on and drags on. So any of y'all building a muscle car or a sports car, whatever you all want to call it, I feel for you, because I know you guys send me messages like, man, have you got your parts yet for this? I'm like, no. And they're like, man, I've still been waiting too. Some are the same companies, some are different companies, but we all fall into that same boat. And it's been reckless, crazy trying to build anything. We still got the Chevy truck sitting that we thought we'd start by now, because we thought the Trans Am would be farther along. But I don't want to pull 2 cars apart at the same time. So now the truck's just sitting. We have a lot of plans for that, which everybody's been asking me, hey, haven't heard much about it. I like to see what you guys are doing. I'm like, we haven't done anything to it. I'm not going to pull anything apart on that truck until I can move forward with the Trans Am. It just makes sense. And we got the room, trust me. The Mega Garage, we could do 4 or 5 projects in there at one time if we wanted to. I just don't like having more than one thing apart. It just makes no sense to me. So all my projects are backing up. They're all sitting. We're waiting on parts. But if you're building a muscle car or you're building a sports car, just know that there is a difference between the two. And look it up. You'd be surprised at what some of the differences are. You guys hold tight. When I come back, we got some more for you. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Dave Palach on Let's Talk Cars Radio. Dave will be right back.
An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Well, here's a pound of prevention from your Napa Auto Care Center. We'll customize a preventive maintenance package for your vehicle that will save you time, money, and hassles now and down the road. We'll ask, do you drive mainly in the city or on the highway? Plan to keep your vehicle? How long? And more. Preventive maintenance is a good thing that prevents bad things. Build yours at your Napa Auto Care Center today.
Hey guys, Dave Pilach from Let's Talk Cars Radio. Do you currently have a repair shop you trust? Haven't found the time to go to a garage for all your automotive needs? Check out the all-star team at Napa BDGHRVA.com. That's Napa BDGHRVA.com. Let them show you what it's like to work with the professionals and make a friend along the way. Talk to you soon.
So you're ready to make a move. Whether buying or selling a home, you find you have more questions than answers. You're wondering if you're even asking the right questions or where do you go from here? Stop. Take a deep breath, even count to 3. Buying or selling a home is one of the biggest decisions you'll ever make. Every house has a story. Let yours begin now by calling me, Bob Barnum, with the Perfect House team at the Real Estate Group. Call me today at 757-464-1003. That's 757-464-1003.
Nobody remembers the name J.F. Whitlow and Sons Incorporated until you need them. But when you have a toilet problem, drains back up, pipes freeze, your heat or air conditioning stops working, then you remember J.F. Whitlow and Sons. Don't forget the phone number, 399-1714. That's 399-1714. Air conditioning and heating and all plumbing. J.F. Whitlow and Sons have been serving Hampton Roads since 1949. Residential and commercial. You could always count on J.F. Whitlow and Sons to get to you fast and get the job done right the first time. Located in Portsmouth and serving all of Hampton Roads. Those who know, call J.F. Whitlow and Sons. Call them at 399-1714. That's 399-1714. J.F. Whitlow and Sons Incorporated.
Hey, Michelle, thanks for coming in.
No problem. What is that?
Oh, Curtis dropped that off earlier this week. He calls it the excitement button. Every time you say Liberty, I'm supposed to push this button.
Liberty?
Yeah.
Liberty?
Oh, yeah.
Liberty?
Liberty Transmissions for the working man.
I don't know about this, Dave.
You gotta admit, it's got a ring to it.
Liberty Transmission, 233-3131. That's 233-3131. Better yet, visit them today. 5160 Singleton Way in Virginia Beach. 233-3131. Liberty Transmission. Welcome back to Let's Talk Cars Radio, your automotive specialist. Now, back to your host, Dave Palach.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. So here's something that we got talking about, and it's a little weird. So we were talking about, you guys had this conversation with us before, things that, you put in your trunk. Obviously, with the winter season coming around, it always comes around every year with the winter season. Make sure that you have everything packed in your trunk, just in case you get stuck on the side of the road, blankets, water, all that kind of stuff. Now, the boys were joking me because one of the things that we've talked about in the past, but it was always a big thing to have around the house, not so much in your trunk, to have around the house, was a jump box. We had them around our house since they were tiny. Obviously, with me being in the automotive business like I was, there was always a jump box. I don't like jumper cables. I've always hated them. I've always, tried. I have them. Don't get me wrong. I have a set that's in the truck just in case.
The green one,
but
the red one,
I've had tons of. But we've had always jump boxes running around. Now the new thing to put in your trunk, the add-on that's becoming big, is a jump pack. And the reason why is because they're tiny. If you guys haven't seen, they become really, really small, and the technology keeps changing in them more and more and more. I just saw like the latest one stays charged for 9 months, and the thing's like a little bit bigger than a battery pack extension for your cell phone. I'm like, I can't believe the technology's gotten that well. And it's a good add-on to have, but the jump boxes they joke me about, because we, like every jump box we had, like eventually
they always came out with different ones. They always worked partially, sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't.
They did, and I bought a lot of different series of them throughout the ages, but always the same problem. Voltage meter stops working, and then before you know it, they stop holding the charge. And I used to get mad because sometimes I'd buy a brand new one. We might use it 3 times, and it just sits in the garage on the shelf. And then the minute you need it, it won't hold a charge anymore, and some reason the voltage meter just stops working out of the blue. Worked last time you use it, but it's like you let it sit, and then the thing just stops wanting to work.
You just think it's dead. You just think it has no power.
Yeah, so you charge it for 19 hours. Right?
Yeah, 19 hours. Come realize, no, the jump box is just broken for the 4th time in a row.
Right, and you're like, man, I just bought that one. So I find it funny now that technology has them so dinky, because we're talking about the jump boxes that were, the big size ones. And now everybody's adding them to their thing to have in their car as like their emergency pack and put it in the trunk. And it's funny because we got to talking. I was like, the crazy things that are in people's trunk. I bought a lot of cars. I've owned more cars, I always say, that I think one person should probably own in their lifetime. And every time I bought a used car, the strangest things I find in the trunk, like, and or people leave behind. I'm like, I was Cameron and I were recalling one of the cars that we bought. I think his current car he's driving, like they left, $300 pair of sunglasses in there, still in the case. They left a bunch of other stuff. I'm like, wouldn't you think about taking that stuff out of the car, like before you
or
sell
looking
it?
at least?
At least everybody forgets to pop the spare tire holder thing. They always shove things down. I do it too, because I don't like to have things rattle around in my trunk. So little extra tools or something like that I want in a certain car, I usually wrap it up into like a rag or something like that, so it's secure. I put a zip tie around it, and I drop it down inside where the spare tire is, so it's down in there. That way I know if I ever need a screwdriver or if I need a pair of pliers or whatever like that, there is a pair that didn't come with that car that is now down in the spare tire holder. Because in Dawn's car, my wife's car, I don't carry the full setup like I do in the truck. In the truck, I have everything in the truck underneath the seat that you tear the whole vehicle apart pretty much. But I don't want to carry that around in her car. Now, we do transfer when we go on road trips. I do grab my bigger box and stuff like that, and I slide it into the car on road trips. So I have it just in case something happens. I have a complete toolkit so I can work on the car on the side of the road. Not that I want to, or that I always choose to, because as I've told you guys, I broke down. I've looked at the repair and went, I'm not doing that. And I've limped it to a repair shop and let them go ahead and do it. Not that I'm not capable of it. It's just you're on vacation or whatever, and something happens, and you're like, I'm on vacation, man.
Last thing you try to do is crawl under the car.
Right, I don't want to crawl under the car and change something. Now, the boys and I we changed water pumps on the side of the road. We did an alternator on the side of the road. Alternators are pretty easy to do. We did a bad sticking thermostat one time on the side of the road. We've done belts. I mean, all the easy stuff the boys and I have done on the side of the road. Everybody's like, man, your cars break down a lot. No, we used to go on a lot of road trips, and believe it or not, even having a newer vehicle, things break. I mean, and the bad thing about it is
one thing and another thing goes.
Yeah, like I always look my cars over before I go on a road trip, and even looking them over, things go wrong. Like I always look at belts, hoses, all that kind of stuff, make sure that stuff's good. I've still gone on a road trip and for some reason have broken a belt or something like that. It's happened. But people are like, well, that never happens to me. And I'm like, I don't think you go on as many road trips as I do. I mean, I used to go on a lot of road trips when the boys were younger. We were constantly just going someplace, getting away to go do something. So cars break down. It just happens. I just find it really, really weird. Then I start thinking about, we got into the conversation and we were talking about, I've owned a lot of the same vehicles for many, many years. And you would think with owning the same vehicle, and this is going to sound funny, with a lot of companies getting rid of like benefits. We were talking about companies reducing benefits and stuff like that. And we were having 2 conversations at the same time about vehicles and benefits, stuff like that. And I went, wouldn't you think if you owned like the same vehicle for a really long time, that there should be like some kind of like
brand loyalty?
And then thing, well, there is. There's some of the manufacturers out there have like, if you own the car, you get this. I'm like, yeah, but that's not really the same thing.
Well, no, my thing is that they kind of really do it for dealerships, right? So it's more like...
No, it's done for manufacturer. It just happens to be that dealership. It's manufacturer.
Yeah, well, right. No, I was saying like the manufacturer and the dealership have a partnership.
Yeah, they have like a loyalty.
It's not really for the consumer.
Ford has a loyalty, right? Isn't that what it is? So I think Ford has a loyalty program. But
they have their rewards.
Yeah, I'm looking for something different. Like for me, I've owned 6 Chevys. So I'm on my 6th Chevy of owning, that I've kept. Now I'm not talking ones I bought and turned around and sold. I bought a lot of cars and turned around and sold them. I'm talking about ones I actually kept and decided to drive for a long time. I like my 6. I think when you get to like 5 or 6, and you've had them for over 20 years, there should be some type of like a profit sharing program or something where when I go in to buy my 7th Chevy, they're like, "Oh, this is your 7th Chevy? Yeah, we'll give you half off." I mean, we appreciate your business because
you shouldn't have to haggle for MSRP.
Right, you've been driving around as a rolling billboard for us for 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that sounds crazy, but maybe half is.
You also got to think of like all the conversations you get into, right? Like, why'd you choose that? You know, what made you get there?
People ask me that all the time. They're like, people ask me 1,000 times, "What do you think of your Chevy truck?" And I go, "Well, I love my Chevy truck, but let me tell you something about owning a Chevy. At a certain amount of mileage, I know you're going to put a transmission in one." And they just look at me. They're like, "Why do you keep on buying?" I'm like, "Well, because almost every day nowadays, any car you buy, if you drive it long enough, it's going to have some type of problem. Whether it's a transmission, that vehicle has an inherent problem. It's like Honda, you know, I mean, you know, Honda's going to have this certain problem. Toyota has this certain problem. You know, you just know if you own one, they all seem to have that type of problem with it. You know what I mean? So Chevy's no different. I just know after owning a lot of Chevys that at some point you're putting a transmission in one if you own one. And everybody asks me that. So you keep your Chevy truck? I'm like, well, yeah. Other than that, I've had no problem with them. They run great. I mean, they've lasted me. They've done everything I'd expect them to do, other than the fact that I know I'm going to put that one part in it, and it's not cheap, but I know it's going to happen. I know what to expect out of that vehicle.
The lifetime of the car, though.
Yeah, the lifetime of the vehicle, I know what to expect out of it. So I just think with that being, you're a walking billboard and advertisement at some point, if you've owned that many, that Chevy, Ford, whoever it is, should be keeping track of how many you've owned. And then if you get to the point where you've owned so many of them, that there should be some huge loyalty to you as the consumer for being so brand loyal for all those years. And I'm not talking like, oh, we're giving you $2,000 off the vehicle. Woohoo, we're giving you $3,000 off the vehicle. Whippy, you know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about something that actually makes, like,
me want to go buy another one.
Right. It makes me want to, like, actually, I'm like, man, you know what? I stayed loyal to this brand forever, and they actually appreciated the fact that I stayed loyal to it.
You know what? I'm getting that top tier.
Yeah. We were talking about it, and Nathaniel was joking me. He's like, "So what do you mean?" I'm like, "I'm not talking about like the stamp on the yogurt card that you get for going to the yogurt place so many times that you get a free yogurt, but something that actually is meaningful for being brand loyal." I got a lot of friends that are brand loyal to. I got a lot of Ford friends, and I'm sorry. I mean, no, it's okay. You can have your Ford. I did Ford. I tell you, I joke my Ford friends all the time because I did Ford for a while, and it cost me a lot of money. And so I finally decided, and I told you guys, Ford trucks, okay? Perfect example. I got a lot of friends, they love their Ford trucks. But they'd also agree with me that if you baby your Ford truck, it seems like you are doing a lot of work on suspension and stuff like that. Now, if you take it out, don't care about it, do nothing, and just run it raw as a work truck, they seem to last forever. But when you try to take care of them, they seem to require a lot of babying and maintenance to them, and I just don't know what that is. And my Ford friends agree with me on that. My true Ford friends they get it. They know I'm not trying to attack their brand. I'm just giving them a hard time because it's fun to do. They're like, yeah, I guess you're right. And they're like, yeah, but you're Chevys. And I'm like, right. Let me tell you all the problems wrong with the Chevy that I know that you're going to have to fix on a Chevy. I'm not saying that you don't. So everything, like I said, has their problems, but we still stay loyal to our brand. And I just think that there should be something out there, and maybe the manufacturers could like really benefit from that. I think in the long run, it would benefit them.
All parties, at least.
Right. That if you are staying loyal to a brand, that at some point in time there is some type of payoff at the end of it for you being loyal, where they're like, you know what, we really appreciate it. Like I said, what if you're that guy, right? And let's just say you're 68 years old, you're getting ready to retire, and you decide to buy your 8th Chevy that you've had. That's probably going to be the last Chevy you buy. And I'm not
we appreciate you choosing us.
Like, it should be, you've owned so many, and I appreciate it, and you're getting ready. And they just cut that guy a huge break where he just feels like for being loyal for all his life to a certain brand, it's all been for something. So, like I said, I mean, I think that there's a lot to be said with that, and maybe I'm wrong.
So
you guys
Ford is
I agree. I think it's a good
one
idea.
that really has like a program like that,
right?
Where it's called like their loyalty program. But Tesla overtook them, actually.
Well, that's good. Like I said, somebody out there has to have something.
I know Toyota did something where the dude drove it to like 200,000, like some crazy, a million miles.
Yeah, they gave him a free Toyota or something like that. So if you guys agree with me, you guys think this is a great idea, let me know. I just think it's kind of interesting concept. Maybe it'll promote some more sales. I think it will promote more sales if somebody did something like that. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I am. And I know, guys, I got to get out of here. It's been a great show. I can't believe the show went by so fast again. It always does. It is Saturday. Sunday is right around the corner. Make sure that you guys, as I always tell you, unplug, hide the cell phone, spend some time with your kids, play a board game with them, and argue all night long about it. Whatever it takes. But it's always a good time. I just like to spend time with the family. I think you guys should do too. So on that note, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys got anything before we blow out of here?
Enjoy your weekends.
Enjoy your weekend.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you soon, and catch us all the rerun shows on all your podcast platforms. And we're out of here. Talk to you soon.